Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video where today, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally closing off Metallica's Kill 'Em All, their genesis, the song, the album I should say, that opened the floodgates to thrash metal. And this one is kind of like a little bit of an interesting one for me because, well, first off, from my own experience, a militia is like a segment or like a private sector within a popular army, I believe. I'm obviously, not in any, in the army or anything like that, so I wouldn't technically know for certain. But that's just like my idea. So the idea that perhaps we're going to be recruited into an army, or this is your home. And just like any given army, they'll probably tell you where to sleep, when to fire, when to take a shit, and when to get on your hands and knees if they had to ask you to. The other thing I just found out quite recently is that this song is actually, they say it's one of their fastest songs to date, with 175 beats per minute. I don't even think my own heart can go that fast without blacking out. So, goodness knows how exactly anybody managed to get through the song without at least having one kind of like, oh god, nervous spell. Maybe that's why they decided to like make this sort of like the closing anthem to earlier shows. Maybe that's also a reason why they didn't play it like in later concerts, I believe. So we'll see what the answer to that is, because wasn't this also the song that Dave Mustaine also wanted to make into a song about people having sex in a car that later became known as the song Mechanics in Killing Is My Business? I heard there's some kind of like story about that, but when you really think about it, this is also really, if Dave, is this kind of like the last Metallica song that Dave had any affiliation with? I mean, in terms of, like chronologically on this album, where it like falls into production and all that. Because I don't, as far as my knowledge goes, is that anything after Kill 'Em All is purely down to Hetfield, Lars, Kirk, Cliff, then Jason and Robert. As far as I'm concerned, there isn't really much else that Dave is affiliated with Metallica in, aside from the stuff that was on Kill 'Em All. Certainly Ride the Lightning I don't think had anything to do with Dave, and there's definitely nothing on Master of Puppets or And Justice for All either. I say that because I don't want to say it's a big difference in pace, but there is a difference in style going forward, and something that Dave kind of takes along for the ride with him. But this one's for the road, eh? So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Metal Militia in 3, 2, 1, and oh. Okay, let's we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this like right proper. So, at the risk of me breaking my own neck, let's just sit back and I'm gonna. You know what? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go hardcore on this. I'm gonna do this with my eyes closed. I want to be attacked from all corners. I want my senses to be shot at. That's what I want. What an album that is. That just, oh my god, my every, oh god, I've got this horrid pain in my neck now after doing that, and my head doesn't feel too bright either. Jesus, I feel like I've like gone 12 rounds with Mike Tyson, and I've lost every single round, but just got up again just so I could get beaten down even more. That's what listening to metal. I also, first off, I love the marching of boots in the end. That's the signal. The signal where you are disbanded, go out and unleash hell on the earth. Because realistically, that's what's going to happen once the show's over. You're going to go out there, if you were pumped and psyched and ready for Metallica before coming into a concert, you've just left basically thirsting for blood, to seek and destroy, to ride with the Four Horsemen, to literally smash every single light you could find. Listen, there are many ways to close out an album, but I gotta tip my hat off to Metallica, because that is one of the hardest ways to end an album. They say that drummers live the hardest and die the hardest, but as far as we can all work out, Lars was in absolutely no way, shape or form ready to die just yet. His life was just beginning, as was for everyone else involved. And including Dave, who, even though obviously Dave was kicked, I think it's fair to say by the time we get into talking about Megadeth in total again, what on earth can you honestly say aside from Chained and Shadowed to be left behind, 9 and 1000, Metal Militia for your sacrifice, Ironclad Soldiers. This isn't going to be the first or the last time you're going to be hearing me talk about Metallica and their approach and their approach to war, because you could say that from the beginning in Kill 'Em All, they they talk about soldiers as a part of their empire, their war, their tainting soldiers and whole armies with the influence of metal music. It goes from that to, well, I'm not technically going to spoil that, because that's a story for another day when we do For Whom the Bell Tolls, as well as Disposable Heroes. Disposable Heroes, still, I have a lot of history with that song, and you're going to find out exactly why when the time comes. But aside from that, I've had great memories of listening to Metallica a few years ago, but I cannot remember them being as good as this. This is why people, I think, if you really want to talk about Metallica, you've got to do it from beginning to end. And from the very beginning, like, people really do underestimate just how brutal and powerful Metallica really were. They knew their audience, and their audience knew them. It's a testosterone machine. That's what this album is. And I don't think anybody would have had it any other way. You know what? Well, I'll continue dancing like a maniac. Whiplash. And that's just how it is. So anyway, that is going to do it for Metallica's Kill 'Em All, ladies and gentlemen. I hope every single one of you has enjoyed this mastodon of a ride with me. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Metal Militia for yourselves, as well as the whole of Kill 'Em All. And I will hope to all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye for now.